Talk Show.
Recorded live.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever it may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable Podcast. This is podcast number 644. My name is Eric Nelson, and with me today, I have my favorite co-host, Cora Romero. Today is Wednesday, October 12th, 2023. Cora Romero, how are you doing today?
Eric, doing very well. Things are busy, staying busy, getting ready for Explore. How are you?
I'm great. I'm laughing. I'm a big grin on my face because I got to say, I know what it's doing up in Utah today. So how's the weather out there in Utah today, Corey Romero?
It's snowing.
You got the snowblower out now? You ready to go?
Yeah,
Last year,
nope,
I think you had like 400 days
year.
of snow.
Nope. I'm either gonna just build an igloo and live there, or go to Costa Rica for the winter. I'm out. I'm done.
Awesome. Well, let me tell you, it is cold here. We got winter come in. It turned into October, and in the Bay Area, it's chilly. It's a little bit windy. We had a little bit of drizzle. So, it's winter. It was cold this morning. I popped a fuse, and I had the toaster and a coffee maker and the refrigerator all on the same circuit. And I had to go outside at like 7:30 in the morning, and it was like a chilly, like 52 degrees out. I'm like, oh gosh, I better wear a parka. On the show today, we're going to be talking about vSphere automation with I want to say his name Common, but I'll let Common tell me how to pronounce his name when we get to him. But before we get to Common, Nikolov, I think we will talk a little bit about the news. So Cora Romero, I know Explore's coming up in Barcelona. We're excited about that. I think Explore in Singapore or somewhere else around the world is happening as well. So there's Explorers going on all over the place. I know that we're excited to go there. You've got your tickets. I got my tickets. So we're going. What else is going on in the news?
Yes, we got a couple things. So the 2024 program, a little ways away from that, but I just do want to mention that you can go and update your applications right now, and that will reflect for the 2024 applications that will be closing. So we're going to close the applications on January 19th. So start getting those ready. Start preparing. As far as the vExpert program goes, we just did a webinar yesterday. That was with Oracle Cloud VMware Solutions. Great webinar. It is posted up on the vExpert portal. It's also in the vExpert emails. So that went out yesterday. So we also do have another webinar coming up. That's going to be next month, and that is going to be on the 16th of. Looking at my notes here. That is going to be the 16th of November. So stay tuned for that. The email should be going out here shortly for that. Yeah,
good.
That's what I got for
all
updates.
Right. Sounds good. And I know that we're excited about the Broadcom deal starting to happen. I got to say that I kind of like Broadcom because they focus on vSphere. They focus on the core data center. They're very, very data center, no nonsense kind of guys. I've been in a couple of meetings with them, and they're really down to earth kind of people, right? Like I got to say, they're not super marketing. They're more tech guys and tech people. I shouldn't say just guys, but they curse a lot, or at least a couple of them that I've been in meetings. They curse a little bit, and they're like, no, we're not going to use that. Like kind of like, so if you're old school data center like I am, right, you're going to fit right in here, right? They're not fluffy kind of people. They're very, very driven, data center driven, technology driven, chip driven. I mean, it is a different ecosystem. People will go, they're not epic values, blah blah blah. They have a different culture. I'm like, yeah, but if I look back to my Sun Microsystems days and hardware, and I look at core IT, the culture over there is a little bit rougher, but they're building things, right? And when you're building things, you're building things, and builders tend to be a little bit more gruff. And so I got to say, it's been fun. I'm a little bit excited to see where they go. I'm excited for the vExpert program. I'm excited for the community. They get why we run Explorers. Hocktan has said that I get what Explorer is about. It's about bringing people together and talking about all the technologies, and he really likes that, so he's supportive of that. So I'm kind of I don't know where everything's going, but I would say that I'm excited to see, doubling down on what's happening with our core products and the data center, and with AI and ML and all the usage cases that are coming up with NVIDIA. It's like it's actually an interesting, excited time to be part of this. So looking forward to being at Explore in Europe to get together with everybody. We've got the hackathon booked. We've got a vExpert party that we're going to announce. We've got the community theater. Alistair is going to be there recording the brown bag sessions. We got code sessions all booked up. Again, the hackathon, and so everything is a go. Even VMware Code Labs that are going to be going through Chat GPT and how to use Chat GPT to set up API usage, right, with the keys and how they behave with their APIs. So some fun code labs as well. So looking forward to get over there. And today we have Cayman. How do you say your name? Give it to me right. And let's introduce you on this podcast, because we're a community podcast. We like to spend 5 minutes talking about your career arc. How did you get here? How long you been at VMware, and what did you do to get to this point in your career?
It's common, so you got it right from the first time.
From the first time, yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been with VMware for 12 years now. I started as a developer. So my first 7 years at VMware, I was working at the Power CLI team, developing stuff, different commandlets for vSphere, for vCloud Director, and so on. And then I moved to the management side, and now I'm leading the Power CLI team. And now we're doing much more than just Power CLI. We have added Power Actions as a new product to our agenda. We're also working with HashiCorp on the Terraform provider for vSphere, and this is also something that my team is working on. So a lot of stuff around automation and vSphere and also other VMware products. We're constantly expanding Power CLI to new VMware products. We're now covering NSX, VMC, vSAN, SRM, and many others.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. And I'm surprised this is your first time here, because we've had a lot of shows over the years. But for me, being I can code, right, but I came up through IT and admin and running data centers, and so like automation to me is all about scripting, right? Like that's the way I grew up, automating everything. And I haven't really been in love with the Python movement with JSON objects and all the things you do with Python. You got to write development and compile it, or there's an interpreter. But it's like, for me, I still like scripting. I still like shells. And then PowerShell from Microsoft has been really nice. And so, and then it's grown, and I love the idea that now we just have modules for everything, and you can still script for everything. And so thank you for being here and doing that work. And it's great to have you on the podcast. One question for you, Corey, I know you feel this way. Now, when you stepped up into management, did they give you the lobotomy where they take like half of your brain away so that way you can just be a manager? And have you felt that tail off of, and have you ever tried to go automate something and you're like, oh, I can't remember anything anymore? Like, or have you stayed in the thick of it? You're not going to answer that, are you? Right? There's no win on that question. So I know, we do releases. Where are we on the release train these days? Like, I don't even know. And then let's talk a little bit about what's new and where things are going with your module development. Why don't you give us a state of the land?
We're just several weeks away from the next Power CLI release. That one will be 13.2. So I'll tell you a little secret. In this release, we're adding one new module for one new VMware product. I'm not gonna tell you which one.
Which one is it? There will be a new module
Yeah,
for everybody to play with.
but there will be a new module. We're expanding with another module for one also very very popular VMware product. And
Nice.
also the vSAN team is adding a lot of new features around vSAN in this release, and we're now doing releases every quarter or to 6 months, something like that. And we always encourage our users to use the latest Power CLI version, because this is where we are adding all the new features, all the new bug fixes, and everything. And it's always backward compatible now. The latest Power CLI still supports both vSphere 8 and 7, so you can still use it no matter what version of vSphere you have.
Nice. I was just going to go back. We had somebody on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I was looking for the episode where we talked about the hackathon, and that there's a module for ChatGPT now that the ChatGPT guys wrote that now allows you to interact with Power CLI and ChatGPT, or PowerShell ChatGPT. And they did a hackathon project, and they were one of the second place winners for the hackathon around ChatGPT and PowerShell. I don't know if it's Power CLI. I think it's just PowerShell. That then they could interact with ChatGPT and have it come back and try to develop things. So kind of cool.
It's very 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 cool, very interesting to play with ChatGPT. When it first came out, I decided to test it a little bit around what it knows about PowerShell and Power CLI, and it turned out that it does pretty good job when you ask it to write a script, a Power CLI script for anything. So, for example, write me a Power CLI script that creates a VM, or write a Power CLI script that migrates virtual ESX networking from standard switch to distributed switch, or something like that. It does pretty decent job there. So I'm always happy about Power CLI and all the great community that we have built around the product, and there are tons of examples everywhere on the internet. You can find almost anything, any script that you need online in our community and so on. And it looks like ChatGPT was trained pretty good with Power CLI, so it might be a very very useful helper for you when you start with Power CLI.
Yeah, if people want to hear that podcast, that was number 659, and the guy that did it was Dale Hessinger, right? And so he was on talking about that. And it just shows how relevant PowerShell and Power CLI is over time, right? Like, it's continuing to be there, which is like, haha, Python guys, everybody 5 years ago are like, oh yeah, it's all going to be Python, it's going to be programming, and I'm like, I like shell scripting. I don't want to have to do only because for me, developer, to debug things when you've got a language and you're writing code and you have objects, and I felt like it was complicating what I should just be able to do and have always been able to do in a script, right? Like, I just find debugging to be much easier. I mean, the module still does have to talk to the software and execute actions, but I feel like module itself, right? And that, and that's the job of the PowerShell module itself. And I don't have to worry about that as much, passing JSON objects around and debugging things. So I felt like it was easier to write things. And then, you do have a point also, which is nobody writes anything from scratch anymore. At least when you're scripting, you always start with somebody else's script, right? You always start with what everybody else has done, and then you tweak it to do the one or two things that everybody else has done. I feel like there's also just a set fixed number of things that people do when you're automating the data center. Maybe it's 200, right? But like, in the end, you should be able to find somebody that's already done a lot of what you wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you may find 2-3 different scripts and combine them, take something from each one and build what you need. But yeah, definitely it's very very useful when you have all those examples in the community.
So, because you're the engineer that worked on it, what were some of the challenges? I'm going to go back for a minute and just pick your brain on that. Like, what are some of the challenges when you're writing PowerShell, the implementation? Like, what are the harder things you guys have had to deal with?
One of the challenges is to get the user experience right, because when we're writing PowerShell and PowerCLI commandlets, we're trying to get the user experience as easy as possible, and we're building PowerCLI around the UI user experience and not so much around the API user experience, which is pretty different. And sometimes we have also had challenges with the APIs, because sometimes there are some issues with the API, some things that don't work as we expect them to work. Maybe sometimes things that work as they were expected to work, but they're just not documented well enough so that you know how they are supposed to work and how you're supposed to call them. Sometimes the error reporting of the server is not great, so we had to tweak the error reporting to make it clearer for the user what the problem is. Yeah, I think these were probably some of the biggest challenges.
It does remind me of the paradigm that you guys have to work in, right? Which is all CLI, right? It's all text-based interaction. And so you're trying to model complicated interactions, right, with the user in text, right? So there's this one of these text games that are out there, right? I forget what it is, where it's super complex, where they give you this grid of all these text-based images, things like James Wormkessel used to play it, Corey. I know you know James, and he used to show me this complicated text game that was like a grid of things, because it was all had to communicate the game aspects in a text grid, because it was a text-based game. And you kind of wonder, like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And I guess that's one of the downsides of PowerShell in general, is it is text-based, and you do have to try to do a whole user interaction via flags, or passing in flags of different kinds. And it's like you start looking at Linux or Unix manual pages, and they're like 5 years long, because you got every alphabetic character that you can possibly pass in as a flag, because that's what you need to. And then how do you allow users to do that, right? And then make sense of it at the same time, and make it so that you can then program it too, because now you have to have logic in there, right? It's just shell, while, if, then, else kind of structures that allow you to then make choices. And then, do you guys allow go-to statements? Like, how do you put functions in there, and how do you then be able to call functions and not have to replicate tons of code constantly? So I could see that would be fun to try to figure that out, and a big mental exercise every time you get a new module you have to write, because then you have to do another kind of text-based paradigm, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to find a balance between making it powerful enough so that it can do what people need it to do, and at the same time keeping it simple at some point. Because if you make it over complicated, it may become difficult for the users to use it.
Do you guys have to trade off? Like, do you ever get in a scenario where you go, no, we're not going to even try to model that. That's just too hard. We just won't give the users the option to do that in shell, right? Like, we just won't add that parameter or that capability, because it's just going to be way too hard. Forget it. You can't really do that, though, right? I would think.
Yeah. We have two levels of abstraction in PowerCLI. The first level is one-to-one binding to the API. So this is where users have the full coverage of the API with all the possible parameters and so on. And then we have the second level, which are the manually written commandlets, and we call them the high-level commandlets. And here is where we're trying to simplify things. And of course, there are some options that we have decided that we're going to drop, because they are too complex, and they're, as you said, too complex to model in CLI, and keeping it simple at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I could see that's the trade-off, right? So how do you guys determine what add new? Do product groups come to you guys? Is there a requirement that every product that comes along has to have a Power CLI interface so that people can use it? Is it kind of a default standard now that all engineering teams require this? Just curious where we're at on that.
Yeah, we, as I said, we already have this automatic one-to-one binding to the API. So everything that is included in the vSphere API is automatically exposed through Power CLI. But for those high-level commandlets, this is where we sometimes get special requirements from different business units and different teams that develops the server-side features, and they say, hey, we know that you have the automatic binding, but we want this. We think this feature will be very popular, or is already very popular with our customers, and we would like to see a high-level commandlet for it, so that we can make it easier for the customers to use.
Nice.
So yeah, this is how we pick up those features. We also have this ideas site where customers can submit feature requests, and we go through these feature requests every release, and we sometimes pick some features from there.
So the idea site, is it based on AHA, or is it some?
Yeah, it's based
on
on
AHA site. Do you know what the site is? Is it open to the general public, or do you have?
Yeah, it's open to general public. It's powercli.ideas.aha.io.
powercli.ideas.
.io.
AHA.io.
Yeah.
All right.
.io. Yep.
There you go. powercli.ideas.aha.io. And go check that out. And that's fun. I was going to ask you, like, so how does the community, that was my next question. How does the community give you guys ideas, right? Like, and then how do they submit those? But there you go. You got a site for it, which is cool. And I was going to ask, like, do you ever get like William Lamb coming back to you guys and saying, hey, could you build me this? And there are community guys that are writing PowerShell, right? Whether it's William Lamb or, some other people. I want to say the guy, Fear the Beard, Kyle Ruddy, right?
Kyle Ruddy, yeah. And the big rock star of the Power CLI community is Luke Dickens.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, Luke, yep. I didn't know that he was a rock star there. I know Luke, right? I think Luke is also a moderator on VPN, right? So like, but that would make sense that he's there.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say.
Yeah, he always responds to all the requests in the Power CLI community. He helps our customers with scripts and everything. So a lot of this knowledge that ChatGPT has probably comes from Luke, I'm sure. Yeah,
I mean, they did say who had worked on the module, right? Like, but there was some of that there. So that's how Dale was saying there was working with a couple people on it, right? And the hackathon, and you're supposed to be you're going to be at the hackathon too if we can get you a ticket, right? Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I was at the hackathon in Las Vegas, and we were showing Power Actions and how we can migrate some scripts to work as an actions in Power Actions. It was very, very interesting, very interesting project.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And this time we got a better venue. We got an offsite venue, so we're going to get you there. We just have to escalate getting you a ticket, but that should be fun. So we're excited about that. And for me, we actually called the talks we're doing everyone Power Talks, right? Because we were like, everything should just be PowerShell, right? I'm a command line, nut when it comes to that. I don't write much anymore. I used to write a ton, and I did a site called Big Admin for Sun, where it was just a complete scripting site, right? The script section was huge. I've got 1,000 different scripts there, right? And well, come over here. I'm no longer an admin. They lobotomated me. I kind of like a third of my brain left. So I don't do that much of that anymore, but one of these days I might get back to it. So what gets you excited? I know we have a new release, which we can't talk about there. Any other things that from the standpoint of, working on Power CLI that gets you excited? I know that we have Brian graph here that, obviously did the Power CLI poster back in the day, right? We're trying to figure out how to do another one at some point here. What gets you excited about where things are going? And do you guys get any kind of cloud space work? Do you guys do any of that kind of multi-cloud work that kind of dribbles in? I can't imagine controlling the cloud through Power CLI, but that would be interesting. So what kind of gets you excited about where things are going?
We already have a module for VMC where you can connect to the cloud and do some administrative tasks. For example, you can create SDDCs or add hosts and clusters to your SDDCs and so on. And we're also seeing a lot of our customers using Power CLI on the other different cloud platforms that VMware provides or our partners provide. We're seeing customers using Power CLI on Azure VMware solution, on Google Cloud, on Oracle Cloud. vSphere is everywhere, virtually in all these platforms. So customers that have their automation scripts already written in Power CLI, they can use them to automate their cloud environments as well.
I know that a couple of years ago, maybe it was 4 years ago, last time I really spent time on Power CLI, they had the key capture stuff, right? Where you could just say, all right, here we go, mouse capture, where I could say, go do things in vCenter and, move sensor out when I'd say capture. And then it would just go write me, Power CLI. For me, that was always a cool thing that it's kind of like ChatGPT. Now there's going to just, if you can do that, you can basically write Power CLI by just letting them your mouse and that write it. Any kind of interesting stuff coming in that space as well? Or is it just, people doing that and then sharing things online and then it gets picked up by ChatGPT and you can go just have everybody write new code? I felt like the automation capture was kind of like the last step of making it easy to do. Any other things?
Yeah,
like that?
Absolutely. This was a big step that made it easy to create your scripts. So you can just click something in the user interface, and it will generate you the Power CLI script for what you just clicked. And now we're releasing Power Actions. We just released it in April as a Flink, and this is the second aspect of it. So now when you have your Power CLI scripts, how do you make those scripts available to everyone? So how do you make it easy for people that have no PowerShell or Power CLI or any scripting experience make use of those scripts? This is something that we have seen many customers have interest in, because in every organization there are those scripting admins which are experts in Power CLI. They create tons of useful scripts. But then not all of the other admins can make use of them because they just don't know scripting, they don't know Power CLI. So what we did was we created a vSphere UI plugin, which allows you to upload your scripts to a script library. And then you can easily execute those scripts from a user-friendly interface. So you don't need to know anything about PowerShell, anything about Power CLI. You just select a script that someone has pre-uploaded for you there. Select the script, select run, and then you enter the parameters of the script. And we have made a very good integration with the user interface client. So if, for example, the script has a virtual machine parameter, you get a window with all of your virtual machines, and you can select for which virtual machines you want to execute the script. Then you enter the rest of the parameters of the script, and this is also an extension point of the vSphere client, which gives you infinite possibilities. So as I said, Power CLI has full coverage of the vSphere API, so you can do anything that you want with Power CLI. So you can write script that does anything. And now when you can upload that script to the script library and easily execute it and give it to everyone in your organization to execute it, this is and also unlimited extension point of the vSphere client.
That sounds great. That sounds great because now I can just use my mouse in vSphere, go in vCenter, click around, do things, upload it automatically to a repository, have the repository there, and then run it and have it execute on different VMs, different workloads. Yeah, that's powerful. So that does bring me to one of the things I've heard, which scares me a little bit, or I kind of like cringe when people bring it up, which is the security of all this, right? Like the security of, it's super powerful, right? And I'm the kind of guy that likes to have root password and likes to say, yeah, don't worry about it, But then when you get blackmailed, because they hack my vSphere, right? Then it all of a sudden becomes much more real, right? So from a security perspective, like some of this is super powerful, super nice, but like, how do I know that something's in that repository is not going to be damaging, or there's this fear of me that somebody hacks something somewhere and all of a sudden I've just introduced some nastiness in my environment that I didn't expect. And I assume you guys running the team probably get that query every once in a while where they're like, this is too powerful. You can't just let this sit here. If you let this sit here and somebody accidentally runs it, you're going to bring down Hilton hotels or whatever it is. Like, so do you guys get those requests, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the things that many customers are asking first. What if there is some script that not everyone is supposed to execute, and what if they click it by mistake, for example, and destroy some virtual machines and something. And the good part here is that when you log in with your user account in the vSphere client, then we're using the same user account in PowerCLI to execute your script. So it uses your permissions. So even if there is a script that removes 1,000 VMs, if you don't have permission to remove those 1,000 VMs, this script is just going to fail with not enough permissions. So you can only do what your user is allowed to do.
Right. And that's a good way of framing it, right? As role-based control so that I can only do X amount of damage, right?
Absolutely.
Does it also give me parameter like, role-based access for particular scripts, right? Like, so if this one is going to do something that I shouldn't be privileged to do, does the script have a privileged mechanism so I can only see ones that I should be using? Or like, I suppose
we currently don't have that yet, but it's definitely on the radar. Currently, we're still in the Flink phase, and
right.
We're now working to actually decide what is going to be in the MVP for the first official version of the product, and we're planning to work on that. But yeah, this is also something that people are asking for. To store the scripts, we're using content libraries. So maybe if we are also in discussion with the content library team about the permissions, and if they are also planning to add some permissions at the library level per user or something like that. This might be something that will help.
Looks good. Do you guys ever do customer meetings where they come in? I know we have the community site where you could submit examples. Do you ever have enterprises come in where they call you into the briefing center, say, we want to talk to that automation guy because we need to be able to audit XYZ and we can't do this yet? Do you guys ever get into that world?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're talking to customers all the time, and we're very excited to find every way to reach to our customers, because PowerCLI is a free product, so everyone can download it, install it, and we don't actually have the information who our customers are. It's not like we have these customers that have contracts with VMware and they're paying for it and so on. So we're definitely enjoying every opportunity to meet with our customers, to hear what they have to say. And we have already presented Power Actions at the VMAC in Germany this year, and also at the VMware Explore in Las Vegas. and we received very, very positive feedback. We're seeing a lot of customers having use cases for it, and seeing how useful it might be in their case.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds like you get some of that. Other things that I like to ask guests to give people insight of what you get to do. Were there any customers that came in that when you listened to what they were doing, right, you were in awe of like how big it was? Or did you have any of these things where you went, oh my God, I never expected it to be that big, like they're running, 50,000 VMs, blah, blah, blah. You got any stories like that where you that stick out in your mind of where somebody's automated something that you're like, whoa, that's crazy?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always very excited when I talk with our customers, because when you write a platform like what Power CLI is, you never know what your customers are gonna do with it. So we are seeing our customers doing very, very different stuff with Power CLI, and one of the times where I was really wow was when I talked with some of our customers that have done an entire cloud provider entirely based on Power CLI. So they have all the entire user interface that they have created for their cloud provider. Every action in there was backed by a Power CLI script in the backend. So all the deployment, all the automation, everything they were doing with Power CLI, and this was an entire cloud provider. I was just amazed. Yeah.
Amazed at that. Their whole interface was based on Power CLI, right? Like, did they wrap a GUI on top of it, or was it just basically you come in and runs?
They had a GUI. They had a GUI, but everything that their users clicked in the GUI came back to Power CLI scripts in the backend.
Yeah, that's a safe way to automate everything, right? And you mentioned compatibility. Is when we talk about Power Actions, right? Like what compatibility, or like how does that work with regard to like new ones coming out and supporting the ones that you're releasing, right? Like, is there anything different between that and Power CLI scripts themselves?
Power Actions is also compatible with vSphere 8 and vSphere 7 update 3 something. You can use it on both vSphere versions. We're trying to keep it as open as possible, but so there are some limitations because it is a vSphere remote plugin, and there were some things that were added, I think, in update 3 of vSphere 7. I think that almost all of our customers should be able to use it now. And we always try to keep Power CLI as backward compatible as possible. Even though that we're currently only officially supporting vSphere 8 and vSphere 7, where I'm still seeing in our telemetry reports customers that are using Power CLI with vSphere 6.7, 6.5, and even 6.0. So, and it should still work. We no longer test it with those old versions, but there are still some customers using it with them.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of supporting older revs of things and remaining backward compatible, right? For sure. What I would say, if you do have 6.5, make sure you patch it, because there are vulnerabilities that you'll probably be upgrading, right? Because it's not because of backward compatibility. I hate doing extra work when you don't need the new features, but there's just so much security risk that's going on that you almost have to these days keep everything up to date.
And backward compatibility is something that is really very important when you're writing a CLI, because when you write a UI, for example, you can just decide that I want to change that between vSphere 7 and vSphere 8, and with vSphere 8 it works in a totally different way. And as soon as it is good, everyone says okay. But when you do a CLI, you cannot just change the interface of the commandlet, because if you change the interface, you're breaking all the scripts that the customers have written. So you always have to maintain the backward compatibility, and this is also something that we're
Yeah,
very
it's
strict
less
about.
about the version; it's more about just the compatibility of the scripts, right? The scripts,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
timeless, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Um,
also very important for the APIs as well to be kept backward compatible.
how many people do you guys have on the engineering team there? Are you allowed to say that? You
Currently,
don't have to say it.
yeah, currently the team is not very big. We only have 5 people in the engineering team.
That's good.
It's
That's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
there's
small
this
team.
formula out there that says anything over like 8 people, the team starts making bad stuff, right? Because it's too hard to keep track of everything. You just need a really small, very good connected team, and that's where it goes. Anything over 8 or 7 or 8 people, things just get messy, ugly, and that's how projects fail, right? Teams get
Mhm.
big, right? Now, some of that can be module, right? I've seen where, well, yeah, but if you got a complicated product, you just got to break
Yeah.
things into small segments that people are working on, right?
Yeah, and we also have other teams in VMware that are contributing to Power CLI. For example, the vSAN team, they're writing their vSAN Power CLI module, and they're contributing it to the product. And we also have the same thing with the HCX and Horizon teams. They're writing their own modules, and they're contributing them to the Power CLI. So even though the core team is
Core
small,
team,
we
yeah,
actually
right.
have other teams that are also developing Power CLI modules.
Yeah, that's like social media and community, right? We run the core, but then there's literally another. I think it was 200 people that they have different orgs that are doing their own social, their own community activity, but they're plugging into the framework, right? And we
Yeah.
support the framework, so yeah. That works. That works. All right. So that's the size team. That sounds good. So yeah, it means that you still have a lot of your brain because the team hasn't got that big yet, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I like to ask people is like, one day when you end your career, are you going to end your career, with using Power CLI and PowerShell? Are you going to do your whole life now doing this? Because I find that when you get into one of these technology areas and you love it, and it kind of becomes this like, I love VMware, I love Power CLI. Do you ever see yourself doing anything different? Or are you branded for this, and we're going to have to put on your tombstone, 60-year career writing PowerShell?
Yeah, I'm already 12 years into Power CLI, and I can say that I really love it. This is probably the first thing that I've loved so much, and I definitely can see my entire career going with it. And it's constantly evolving. So it's Power CLI now has almost nothing to do with what Power CLI was 12 years ago. And we're also creating new stuff and new products like Power Actions. So yeah, I definitely think that this is something that I can continue with.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I know that's the way it is. I feel like everybody's so nervous about the Broadcom acquisition and what it means, and yeah. But I really look at it back when Paul Maritz ran VMware. If you looked at before when Paul Maritz was here, he was like, "Oh, it's all got to be all cloud. It's all got to be this crazy." We bought Slide Rocket, and we bought some weird companies, right? And I just kind of went, "Oh," and then they told us at one point that we weren't allowed to use virtualization in any marketing material anymore. We weren't allowed to call ourselves a virtualization company, right? And it's like, so we had Paul Maritz, bless his soul, and we were like lost, right? And we just started going after all kind of weird stuff, right? And then Paul Maritz came in, and they all of a sudden this little kind of quirky, skinny guy came in, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, we're a virtualization company. Of course, we're a virtualization company." And then we defined STDC, and we defined, we got an NSX, and we got vSAN, and we got we did. And I was like, "Oh, good, we're back doing data center stuff." That was a good thing. And then over time, we cloudified, and we've cloud and STDC and all the cloud vendors and everything crazy. And next thing you know, we're doing Bitcoin, and we're not doing Bitcoin. We did blockchain, right? And we're doing all this stuff that I'm like, I don't know, right? Like that's okay. Now I see Broadcom coming in and going, no, we're a data center company. We do vSphere, we do Power CLI, we do the stuff that we've been selling to people for enterprise. And they look at it and they go, yeah, because if you look at our products, we got a lot of these other products are not really being used as much as the core set. So let's grow the core set, but then let's get, let's automate some of these other products into that. And so I actually look at Broadcom and I think, there's some logic there. It's a moment of flipping back to the basics, right? And then that's what they bought it for, and they think that's super valuable. So I like that. So I'm not as freaked out. Whether they keep all of us doing marketing, I doubt it. But the core set, if you're doing automation, you're running VMware stuff, I think this is actually a really good thing for you. And I think it's good that you're here, and then we got somebody that's doing it long term because it's fun. As we come to the top of the hour, anything that you're interested in, gets you excited about as you look in the next couple of years? I know we got AI and ML and NVIDIA control, that kind of stuff. And I don't know what this new product we're supporting is. Maybe it's all, AI, ML, NVIDIA stuff, though. I don't know. But anything that makes you excited for computer science and computing in general that you think will make a difference in what you guys are building?
That's
think about it. TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok. Or I can do the same thing. What keeps you up at night? What scares you to death that you're worried about, right? When it comes to this space, besides Broadcom, because that's not fair.
Yeah. I think that AI can, as I said, can be really useful as a starting point for helping you doing your automation, because this is something that many customers actually need. They need some starting point. They need something that they can build on. So I think that we could do something in this direction. Maybe that in Visual Studio Code there is a plugin for PowerShell. And in this plugin helps a lot with developing PowerShell and PowerCLI scripts, debugging, and so on. And I think that tools like Copilot can also be very beneficial to the VMware customers. I don't know if we could do something like that, but train specifically for PowerCLI and PowerCLI scripts. I think that this is probably the area where the AI can be most useful in the scripting world.
Nice. All right. With that, I would say we're coming up to the top of the hour. Where are you based? I'm
based in Sofia, Bulgaria.
Oh,
so,
all right. So you're up. Is it super late where you're at? Bulgaria.
It's almost 11 p.m. Not super late. So
yeah, medium late.
Pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, depends who you are. Right. All right. Well, I appreciate you staying at. We do live stream on youtube.com/vbarbecue, BARBCUCUE, CECUE. Barbecue. You can go look it up. Go look at what Common looks like. You can see what it looks like. He has a nice McLaren race car backdrop. I don't know what his office looks like, but he's good looking guy. So appreciate you staying up this late. Because we are on V Barbecue, we do a V Barbecue at the end of the podcast. So I got to ask you this: in Bulgaria, do you do barbecue? And if so, what kind of barbecue do you do over there? And do you ever get to do any? If you don't, do you go buy some barbecue? So what's the barbecue report in Bulgaria?
Oh yeah, this is barbecue is something that is really popular in Bulgaria, and we do all kinds of meats on the barbecue. So for example, I like beef, but it's not the most popular here. Maybe pork is the most popular. So
and when you barbecue, how do you actually barbecue? Do you actually use smokers, or do you use charcoal, or do you fire, do it on an open flame? How do you guys barbecue over there?
Usually charcoal. I think that is the most popular, and sometimes some people have gas barbecues.
Okay.
Yeah, I especially like it when we go somewhere in the mountains So we use real wood, though not charcoal, but we gather some wood and we put some meat on the barbecue. It's really great.
Really good. All right. Nice to know that. Well, hey, are you on Twitter, by the way? Because we can get people to follow you if you are.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. It's Kamen Nikolov, one word.
All right. KAMENNIKOLOV.
LOV, right. Yeah.
All right. Give him a follow if you can, so you can follow along PowerShell, Power CLI. It's a good reference. If you're in Europe, come by the hackathon, say hello to him, say you listened to the podcast and got some information on that. That would be great. And thanks for spending your, I want to say lunchtime, because normally it's we do this for lunchtime in California, but thanks for spending your evening with us. I guess it would be Thursday evening for you. You got one more day until the weekend. So thanks a lot for being here. Good to meet you. And we will see you. We will get you a pass somehow and we'll see you at the hackathon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me here.
Yep. Good to see you. Corey Romero, thanks a lot as always for being here and get your vExpert app done. And we'll be back again. We're scheduled out for podcast to the end of the year. So we got everybody booked. So Julia Klaus, thanks a lot. Julia Klaus is going to be out for a while and we will miss you, Julia, but we'll get you back at the beginning of next year. Till then, everybody go get some barbecue and have a great rest of your day.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Recording paused.